Me and my co-host here, Ramatra, are back to bring you another video. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to bring you some more D&D content here today. Some homebrew rules, make it a little more fun and exciting. So hit that subscribe button and we're going to jump into it right away. So jumping into the very first rule is the hiding your death saves from players or keeping them hidden. So pretty much, player goes down, they have to start rolling death saves. Have them roll behind your DM screen and keep it hidden from the rest of the party, just to add that little bit of suspense. It also curbs a little bit of metagaming as well. So say a player has gone down and they roll 2 successes on their death saves. You know, the rest of the party can be like, we don't really need to get them up. They're fine. They have a good chance of getting back up themselves. It kind of puts a stop to this and kind of actually makes your party need to get their friend up because they do have that chance of dying. They don't know how close they are to death. I actually really like this rule. I use this rule myself. I like to add that bit of suspense. Where players don't know how close they are to dying. Another one, and this is a pretty popular one, I'm pretty sure a lot of people do this one, is healing potions are a bonus action instead of an action. So usually consuming a potion will take up your action, but it's a lot better to make it as a bonus action. It gives your players a lot more options to do, and they don't have to waste time in combat just to heal themselves up a little. So you can make a healing potions a bonus action, but giving it to another player will take up your action. It is a good way to kind of balance it. Getting on to the next rule is the idea of a critical success and a critical failure. Now, usually, a nat 20 doesn't always mean something is going to succeed. You could roll a nat 20 and still not be able to do something. Yes, it is the best possible outcome, but it still might not work in that situation. What you can do is you can set a rule that the nat 20 will automatically succeed anything. But also then, there comes the critical failure, the nat 1. Rolling a nat 1 is horrible. It's soul crushing. Fuck! So you can make this even more soul crushing. That's right, you can. It's possible. You could have a negative side effect come with that nat 1. Think about it. Another thing you can do with that devastating nat 1 is apply it to saving throws. So say one of your players is being targeted by a spell that requires them to make a save. Usually that spell can't crit, but now it can. Rolling a nat 1 on the spell equals it to be a crit. Now obviously this would work vice versa. If the players were targeting one of your enemies with a spell and you rolled a nat 1, it would also crit your enemy. Just makes it that little more devastating, but those nat 20s just feel even better then. Let's go! Now another one I actually really like and I would like to try and implement at some other time is coming up with sort of rituals for resurrecting fallen allies. So for instance, instead of say a cleric casting Revivify on a fallen ally, the party must go through a ritual with a chance of failing to try and resurrect their fallen ally. This requiring the team to work together to bring back their friend and creating more of an emotional and memorable moment if it fails. I might introduce it when I start my big campaign. I'm going to start writing my own big campaign, my own world. Well, I already have, but I'm also running the Japan campaign at the moment, so I'm going to keep you updated on that instead. And then when that one comes around, Anyway, I would like to try and implement that rule. Maybe run it for a session or two. If it doesn't work, forget about it, but if it does, cool, leave it in. My next one is I'd like to include the sort of lingering injuries, sort of damage that kind of stays around for a while. Now this can be anything. It could be maybe a disease, a very special disease that can only be cured with a very special thing, but maybe it's the loss of a limb, maybe it's the loss of an eye, maybe it's, you know, the loss of some body part. Now obviously the player can probably go and do something to get around to getting that part back, maybe, you know, maybe getting some sort of prosthetic or finding someone who, I kept my eyes closed for way too long, but finding someone who is able to bring that back. Maybe do some Full Metal Alchemist type thing, and in order to get that back they must give something up in return. Equivalent exchange and all that stuff. But yeah, I like to do this. You know, you could do something, maybe a character's foot gets caught in lava, their foot is burnt, it doesn't really get healed fully. Maybe they get -1s to their stealth and dexterity checks, stuff like that. Now that will make the game a lot more difficult on your players, and a way to make it a little more easier on your players is to give them a feat from level 1. So your entire party at level 1 get to start off with a feat, giving them some sort of ability or actual skill they're really good at. I actually really like this rule. It can lead to characters feeling more involved in the character from the first level. Maybe letting the party also start with 1 or 2 uncommon items can maybe bring those characters together and make them really feel like, you know, they're involved and get interested in your characters much more quickly. Obviously, if you're given like uncommon weapons, you can ramp the difficulty of enemies and you can make more difficult situations so the party isn't too strong. Yeah, I really like this. It's a good way to kind of make your characters feel, your players feel a little more stronger when they start off the game. Now, this is probably my favorite rule of all. It is the rule of cool. You've probably heard about this. Now, the rule of cool is a really fun one. If your players come up with an idea that is either funny enough or cool enough that maybe the rules don't allow it, and you as a DM can bend those rules slightly to make your players have fun. As long as your players are having fun, you're doing your job right. One great thing Matt Mercer said is that if a rule is preventing players from having fun, it's not worth holding on to. So play the rules, go with the rules, follow the rules until players stop having fun, and then break them. You know, obviously at times you gotta be, you know, sort of, you gotta kind of say no and sorry, no, you can't really do that. But if it's really going to stop a player from having fun in that moment, you can find a way around it. You can find a way to sort of bend those rules and make it a more enjoyable, fun experience. I like to let my players do sort of fun things and these really cool moments. Something that usually, you know, it might not work within the rules, but you know, they had a thought about it, thought it'd be cool, be a nice cool moment, a nice funny moment even, and you can kind of find a way to get around that. Whether it be rolling a d20 or maybe requiring them to do something beforehand, you usually are able to find a way around it. I really do think that, you know, you should go by rules, but I don't think you should be such, you know, a hard ass about them. You know, it's a game, you know, you should treat it as a game, and the main focus should just be having fun. But yeah, that's all I have for today's video, guys. There's some few little optional sort of homebrew rules that you can implement to your games and that aren't really in the rule books. For if you were starting off as a DM, subscribe to the channel. You know, we're back making these videos. We're doing the D&D content. Let's try again. I want to get a lot more out. I want to start doing a lot more sort of inclusive content. I want to do a lot more like sort of in-game content with D&D. I want to try and figure something out. Maybe get something up for doing that. Check out my social medias, my Instagram. I'm not really going to be posting art on Twitter anymore because it's kind of a shit show over there. But any art I do, any D&D art, any D&D items I draw will all be posted to my Instagram. So you can go ahead and follow me there. The link is down below. Once again, subscribe, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. See ya.